And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of December 25th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. If your personal Santa has put an all-terrain vehicle under your tree, hold on, Easy Rider. Before you hit the snowy trail, I'll tell you how to keep your off-road excursions merry and bright when I come back.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Before you go over the river and through the woods this season in an all-terrain vehicle, consider this. Last year's data indicates that almost 114,000 spent time in emergency rooms due to ATV accidents. So before you hit the trail, let the ride principles prevail. R. Read the owner's manual. Really. I. Inspect equipment for defects or abnormalities. D. Don't take chances. Always wear a helmet and other protective gear approved by the Department of Transportation or certified by an even more stringent spec, the Snell certification. And E. Enroll in an ATV safety education program. Ho, ho, ho! Happy trails! I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Road rage has no place on our highways. This holiday, take the goodwill you found in cathedrals, synagogues, and churches to your sedans, wagons, and SUVs. When I come back, I'll tell you why.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just like epidemics of the past, road rage is passed on after briefest contact. While the holiday spirit still fills you, think about this New Year's resolution. Cage road rage. Give fellow travelers some notice and signal before switching lanes. Don't tailgate. Driving 2 inches from someone's bumper doesn't hurry them along. Go easy on the horn. Drive in the right lane, pass in the left, and take only one parking space. When you're driving, think golden rule. The lessons we learned during holiday services are good all year long. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A friend asked Henry Ford, "Soy, what you been up to?" To most people, this has been a greeting, but to Mr. Ford, it was an idea. I'll tell you how he used his noodle when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Henry Ford's known for great ideas, but he really used his bean on this one. Soybean, that is. During the Depression, Ford's chemists focused on converting agricultural products into industrial products to stimulate the farm-based economy. Enter the soybean who, in My Fair Lady style, was transformed from dirt-poor roots into the plastic of star car parts like horn buttons, gear shift knobs, and body enamel. Soy, wouldn't you know? Ford didn't stop there. He also developed a soy wool-like fabric that cost half of sheep's wool. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Winter vacations. Skiing, sledding, hot chocolate in the lodge. But no such luck for transmission repair technicians. When I come back, I'll tell you why winter snowstorms keep transmission shops busy.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Transmission shops are busiest after a heavy snowstorm because, think about it. What do we do when we're stuck in snow? If you said rock our cars back and forth from low gear to reverse, you're right. Unfortunately, for our cars and our wallets, we rock way too hard, resulting in overheated automatic transmissions and damaged universal joints. So the next time you're stuck in snow, easy does it. And remember, if you're really stuck, a tow truck may be cheaper than a new transmission. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, do you remember? Yes, a partridge in a pear tree. What does a partridge have to do with cars? When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Little did that partridge know she'd be the star of Car Clinic Minute. Yes, the feather of a partridge can help save your life. How? Think tires. Lightly rub your hand clockwise around your tire's outside perimeter. Now, counterclockwise. If, like a feather, the surface feels smooth one way and ruffled the other, your tires have had it, and your car's out of alignment. So, on the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a brand new set of tires and an alignment. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Miss Hannah will take your calls at also the 888 number. We have several numbers to call, but all you need to know is that if you're driving down the road or if you're hanging out at the house today, now's a good time for you to get in. Miss Hannah will take your calls at 888. Oh, hey, cool, look at that. There's the phones. Normally I disconnect this phone in here, but we had it operating a little earlier today because I was on the phone here in the studio. 888-227-2546, 888 Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by the Car Care Council. Folks, if you're traveling this holiday season, remember to follow the 3 P's: prepare, prevent, and plan, to save money and avoid breakdowns. And you can learn more at carcare.org. And the Car Care Council really makes it easy for you because you go to carcare.org and you can download a schedule
to have your car serviced, or you could actually put your own VIN number in, and it'll be a custom schedule for maintenance. So no matter where you are, if you don't have your book or you don't want to take the time to get the book out, the Car Care Council will make it easy for you, and easy is good. Easy car repair, easy car repair. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. Is that an oxymoron? Well, let's see, car repair, root canal. I don't know where I get these ideas. I'm going to come back and take your calls. I promise. 888 Car Clinic. We recently sat down with Johnson Controls Global Brand Manager Joe Meyer to discuss the advantages of AGM batteries when compared to traditional flooded batteries. Let's hear from Joe.
A key difference between the two batteries is how the acid is handled. So in a traditional flooded battery, the acid is free-flowing. However, in an AGM, or absorbent glass mat battery, the acid is completely absorbed into the glass mat separators. Our AGM batteries meet non-spillable requirements, which support enhanced safety. So in the event of a crash, our AGM batteries will not leak acid. Another important difference is that the high compression cell design of our AGM batteries leads to improved vibration resistance and battery cycling capabilities. Basically, in non-technical terms, our AGM battery design helps provide up to 2 times the life of standard flooded batteries.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles. Learn more at autobatteries.com. Car repairs get expensive, and a lot of us don't have spare money to cover them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. A car may only have a retail value of a few $100s, so an expensive repair wouldn't make sense. Or car repairs may come at a time when cash is short. For example, last year, a mother came into our shop on her way back from shopping for Christmas because her car smelled like coolant and the temp gauge was fluctuating. We put it on the hoist and found a leak coming from the rear head gasket. She had just purchased the car for $1,500 and wasn't prepared for Christmas cost and a $1,600 repair. We used K-Seal and had her return for a follow-up the next day, and we were happy, but not surprised, to help her avoid a coolant leak casualty. Now, a regular customer, she's had no further leaks or expensive repairs. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information on K-Seal at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started, and we're going to talk about cars. I'm so smart. Well, let's go to Jim in Nebraska, and let's have a great, fun show today. 888-227-2546. Also, watch Bobby live. Hey, hi, folks. How you doing? I hope you had a good week, and that Christmas time coming up. Let's go to Jim in Nebraska, and then we see Mike. Mike's in Florida, so we'll take Mike's call, and then your call at 888-227-2546. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, thank you. My problem is with the Chevrolet Volt.
Oh, really?
I leased a 2017 Chevrolet Volt March of this year. The car has 8,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
The car has been great up until September. In September, I received a recall from GM. It said that if I didn't have this work done, it was EVAP work,
right,
before October, I'd have to pay for it myself. I leased the car in Kearney, but I took it to my local dealer, which is 60 miles closer than Kearney,
Right.
to have the recall done.
Right.
They checked the car over. It did need work. They ordered the part.
Mm-hmm.
They said it would take 14 hours repair.
Wow.
And it took a month to get the part.
Right.
And everything was fine. They did the work. I brought the car home, drove it home on the electric because there was some charge left, part of the way home on the electric.
Right.
Got home, plugged it in, charged it up, went out to drive it the next day, and it showed, back up. From day one of the lease until they repaired, the battery always charged up to 53 miles of electrical, travel.
Travel, right.
And that was what it showed on the gauge, and physically you got that too. I mean, you physically got 53 miles. It kind of depended on how I drove, but you could get 53 miles. Okay, came home. When I charged it up, it charged to 41. Well, what in the world did they do to me?
They changed it's been a reprogramming. They changed the threshold of charge.
Okay, what I'm going to tell you the rest of the story.
Okay.
I called them up. I told them what was going on. They said, "We'll bring it back." I brought it back to them, and when I got there, they never told me this when I picked the car up. They never told me this when I brought it in. There was not a recall, but an update, and they updated the charging.
Right.
They called GM. GM said, well, there's nothing we can do. We've never heard of this before. They gave me the number to GM. I called in. I talked to a woman named Mary. She gave me her number to call her back. She gave me a mile-long number to, reference my case.
Right.
She said she'd get back to me within a week. Well, 2 weeks later, I finally got bent out of shape, and I called back. Mary, I was nice. She was nice. Everything was cool. And she said, well, we had never heard of this ever happening before. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got a car that I leased. I put $5,000 down on the lease, and I don't have the car that I leased. When I leased it, I got 53 actual miles on the battery, on battery power. Now I'm getting 41. And she said, well, I'll have to talk to my techs again. So a couple days went by again. She never called me back. So I called her again. And she said, well, the tech said there's nothing we can do. But since you're a good customer, we'd like to do something for you. First thing she asked me, what did I want done? And I said, I want the car fixed, or I want my $5,000 down back so I can get a different car. And she said, we don't do that anymore. We don't buy back cars in Nebraska. But since you're such a good customer, we will do this for you. We'll give you a year of XM radio and a year of OnStar.
Really?
Yeah, they were really, really generous.
Really?
And since then, I've been trying to go through the dealership that did the work to get it fixed. Nothing. The owner of the dealership drove the car. He agrees with me that it discharges very erratically. It'll charge up to. It has improved a little bit on the charging. It was 41. It'll now charge up to 45. But those first 2 miles, from 45 down to 43, will disappear within the first quarter mile.
Mm-hmm. That's a surface charge. So obviously the threshold, and Jim, that's a very interesting story, and it must be frustrating I won't even make a comment on the subscription to OnStar and XM Sirius because that's a no-brainer.
Well, I commented on that.
Yeah, really. So I would be curious to know, and so let's put this out on the air, folks. This is a 2017 Chevrolet Volt, V as in victory, Volt.
Yes.
And that's a hybrid.
Yes.
It's an electric car, but, well, it's not a hybrid in as much as that the engine doesn't drive the wheels, but the engine charges the generator that charges the battery that drives the wheels. So what I would be interested to know, if anyone else out there, what their maximum charge in miles. And here, Jim, yours is roughly 43, but in reality it's 41 because the first quarter mile scrubs off 2 of those miles. So that's really.
No, originally it was 53.
No, I know, originally, and I'm getting that. So you're currently at 41 in reality in hard miles, whereas originally you were 43. That's a 20% plus reduction after the vehicle was serviced and reprogrammed. So obviously, the threshold, I mean, it's a simple matter. Well, it's not simple. It should be simple. The bottom line is that GM needs to change the program on your car to elevate the threshold of charge in miles. Now, having said that, what I would like to know, and what you don't know and what I don't know, and perhaps there's someone out that's listening to Car Clinic right now, what I'd like to know, and if it's another Chevrolet dealer or a service director, certainly I'd love to hear, if you would, call in 888 Car Clinic and give us, if you have customers that have Volts, what their mileage is. Because you see, Jim, you may have had a one-off on the high side, and now you've got the norm. But the way it happened, the car was normally okay until they worked on it. Now it's less than norm. So I'm with you. I understand exactly what you're requesting. So I don't have the answer, except that I know the answer is in the programming, and that is strictly up to General Motors. They can change the program. I don't know that they could increase the miles, but if you seriously had, for the first several months, or how many months did you have it at 53 miles?
From March of 2017 till September.
Yeah,
till October of 2017.
Well, so you've got proof that that can be done because it was being done, and those were actual miles that you drove on the battery without the engine starting. That's what you said, right?
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Okay, good. So it's for me it would appear to be a very simple solution. It's way above the dealership's threshold, because the dealership can only connect your car to the mainframe, which is an old term, but that's what it basically does. Connect your car to the mainframe. Of course, we use laptops and what have you. We put fiber optic in our facility. Our whole facility here is fiber, and that allows us to reprogram cars with a more solid connection. No, and fiber's faster, but it's not about the speed as so much as it is about loading packets correctly and downloading programs. Having said that, we depend, when we replace a part on a car, on the factories of that car, whether it's a Lexus, and we do a lot of Lexus work, or whether it's a Cadillac or it would be a Volt. We depend on the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer, for that program, and we pay for that for our customers' cars, and we get that. So what I'm saying is that we don't have a choice as to the program, to the software writing the program. Neither does a dealer. A dealer can only install what the factory gives that dealer to install, and I would say that you should pursue where you are, and all I can do for you is to put this out on the network and see if we can get some input from someone else. And as you know, from time to time, I've interviewed a lot of folks from GM, so I can do a little more than what I'm saying. But right now, I've got a hard break. Jim, I'll take your case on. Put you back on hold. I want your email address. We recently had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist at General Tire. John touched on a number of different things, including what you can do to best maintain your vehicle's tires.
For maintaining the vehicle tires, our recommendation is to always run the proper air pressure to check the pressures on a regular basis. When cleaning the tire, not to use harsh chemicals. Just soap and water will make the tires look good. It will clean them up very well. But the biggest thing is just checking them on a regular basis, not only air pressure, but the tread depth. You can check the tread indicators as well as doing the Lincoln penny test.
The Grabber HTS 60 provides the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV. The Grabber HTS 60 StabiliTread creates a flatter and larger contact patch, which promotes even wear and longer tread life. Take advantage of the 45-day trial and see what you think. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 performance programmer from Diablo Sport and will share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer. Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hung. Guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, this segment. You know, it's interesting to me, and speaking with Jim from Nebraska there about this 2017 Volt, and losing from 53 miles before the engine fired up down to 41. That's a significant loss. And really, the dealer, you know, and I'm not here to back the dealers, but I want you to know that the dealer doesn't have control over the program that General Motors gave the dealer to install in that car. And yet, so I want part of me wants to say the manufacturer, whether it's General Motors or Mercedes-Benz or Lexus or Toyota or Ford, when they make a program, that program is for the fleet, for all the cars, not individual cars, but for the fleet. And I had an opportunity recently to talk with, and did last week, if you heard, Diablo Sports. The gentleman was explaining about what they do, and I asked the question, well, if Diablo Sport, and we talk about, that's one of our partners, and it's a great product. But I asked him, I said, well, if you make this program that gets more horsepower out of the Ford or the Chevrolet or the Chrysler or Jeep, whatever, why doesn't the manufacturer do that? Fabio, you remember I was Matt, I think, and I asked him about that. And he said, well, because they have different rules and regulations and that they have to follow for the fleet, and whereas we don't. And of course, so you buy a Super Chip or the Diablo Sport tuner, and you can tune the car that you get from the factory. That's true. I wish they made one for my luxury car, because I'd love for the transmission to shift a little more firm and to get up on the curve, a little more power. But the bottom line, having said that, Jim is in a catch-22 here because he went from 53 miles on his Volt to 41 miles, and the dealer can't really help him, and it appears that General Motors is not helping at all. Anyway, I think that they should review that case and do whatever it takes to change the miles. And I'm not so sure that I wonder if they were to change the battery, just if that would affect the charge rate, because the battery, everything starts at the battery. Anyway, let's go to Mike and take his call, and then folks, 888-227-2546, and also next segment we're going to have another Mike Schulp. Actually, Schulp is his name, if I remember correctly. I'll ask him when I get him on air from K-Seal. Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hi, good morning, Bobby. I've got a 2006 Chevy Express 2500. It's a work van. And when I started up, the oil pressure shoots right up to 80 pounds on the gauge, and it stays there. It just started doing this a couple of weeks ago, and everything sounds okay. But here's the rub. I think I got a bad sensor, because even if I turn the key on and don't start the car, it shoots up to 80 pounds. Ironically, what's funny is if I'm driving, let's say on I-95, and I hit the passing gear and the motor revs up, the pressure actually goes down to just a little bit. You can see that needle fluctuate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing I don't have 80 pounds of pressure all the time on this thing, but I'd kind of like to know, as I'm driving, I take a glance at all my gauges, as I go down the road.
Yeah.
The van's only got 280,000 miles on it, so it's,
that's all.
It's just, hey, let me tell you, I got rid of a Ford van with 365,000 miles, and it only had and I've had both of them since they're new. That one, the transmission went out on it, but other than that, I never had any major issues with it. And the same with this one. I've never had any. They run like a Rolex.
Yeah,
these things
but
anymore,
but see, Mike, you have a lot to do with that, because you change oil and you service vehicles, because vehicles will last. There's no question. We have a customer that drives a Tundra, and this Tundra has at last count, I think 450,000 miles, and we've been servicing that car since it had 6,000 miles. We put a transmission in it at 298,000 miles, and just this week, the owner came in, and we put one coil in it. We told him we need to put all the coils, but it's okay. It was number 4. This was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So he came back this week with another one. So we went ahead and replaced all the coils, and this is a 440 or 50 or even more. But and the engine is as quiet and more quiet than my car at 450,000 miles. Now, getting back to your oil pressure. You know that an oil pressure sensor it's called a sender, and it senses the pressure. It's just a grounding unit, and in some homes, or in all of our homes, we have a dimmer for let's say for the lights in the den, and it's called a potentiometer, and it's what you use to turn the volume of the radio up and down. It's what you use to dim the lights. It's the same thing that's used and was used in the automotive industry for the throttle position switch, which means that gives you a difference in voltage from a sweep test. In other words, from noon down to 6 p.m. and back to noon, once you start to move, then the voltage goes through a resistor wire, and it reduces the amount of voltage. Having said that, your gauge on your GM, on your Express, has constant voltage, but it's grounded by the engine's sender, and that sender can fluctuate according to the pressure that's pushing against its internal spring. So if you have more pressure, then the arm is pushed so that it has less resistance, and less resistance means that it's got a better ground. The less resistance you have, the better the ground, until finally, when you have zero, of course, if you had zero resistance, then you would have 12 volts going to the gauge, and the gauge would pop over and go to 100 if it would show. So you never have zero resistance. Now, what I would do if I were you, I would just replace the oil pressure sender. I wouldn't spend money to diagnose it, to test it. I just would replace that. And that's what I would recommend.
Where is that, Bobby?
It's going to be really hard. It's going to be near the oil filter, or wait, it could be on some of the V8s on the back of the engine block, and it would be behind the intake manifold. And if that's the case, you don't need to do this. You need to find someone who's worked on that engine before, because I don't know why GM put it back there. And then GM also on some of those engines put a small screen. Well, I do know why. They feed the oil from the bottom of the engine up the back of the engine to the lifter galley, and then the lifters, when you have cylinder deactivation, they say, well, these lifters are very sensitive to oil particles, so let's put an extra filter just in case stuff travels through, which it does, through their engine. Let's put a filter, and that filter, it looks like a little pipe cleaner, more or less, and it's very tiny, and they located it behind the sensor, so you can't even see it. I mean, if it's between the firewall of the cabin and the back of the engine. So when you pull it out, you have to use like a little one of those picks and pick it out with a screen. Right. Yeah, and so that will affect it.
I think what I'll do is I'll buy one. This way I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know what though is I've also about the same time developed an oil leak.
Well,
so I'm guessing
Chevrolets. All Chevrolets leak oil. Hey, wait. Now, seriously. Let me say this. When you pull the oil pan, and you'll also want to look, Mike, on the side of your engine, because some Chevrolet V8s have an oil cooler, and so when you replace the oil pan gasket, which I suspect is leaking, the oil pan cooler will have a gasket for the cooler hoses adapter. If your engine does not have the cooler, the pan will still have a place where the adapter mounts, and that's a gasket, and so you need to get that gasket. It is not included in the oil pan, and it would be not good common sense to replace the oil pan if that leaks, and I suspect it is.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it would not be, so when you pull the pan off, or when whoever pulls the pan, make sure they replace that sensor. And also, just for you to know, what I'd recommend that when you go to get an oil sender and you check your gasket out, you go to a local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and talk to the guy at the store and say, could you show me where this is mounted? Because they'll have a breakdown of where that part's mounted. Those guys are good. So anyway, that's what I recommend. Hey, thanks for your call.
I do appreciate it. Thank you.
I thank you. He must have been on his cell phone there, I think. It's interesting, and there's a lot of information there, folks, but I want you to know, if you drive that Chevrolet V8 in that era, 05, 6, 7, 8, and 9, in that era, I was actually surprised that he had too much oil pressure, because a lot of those engines have erratic oil pressure. So you first fire the engine, and then the pressure doesn't come up, and it's kind of like, well, where's the oil pressure? It used to be up here, 20, 30, 40, 45, and then all of a sudden it would pop up. If that's the case, there's also another fix for that can save you a lot of money. And we had one customer in the shop that was quoted, anyway, she was told that the engine needed to be replaced. And that was a very expensive, it had 200,000 miles. Oh, you need a new engine. And it really didn't. It needed a repair that our shop was able to repair, and we've since repaired a lot of those GMs. And it's an O-ring on the oil pump pickup tube. And if you have a 4x, like a Denali, you have to pull the front differential to get the oil pan off, to get to the oil pan tube. But I'll tell you, it's a whole lot better than, it's like having a car that is worth X amount of money. Now, it's not worth a lot of money to a buyer. When I say a buyer, it wouldn't be on a used car lot because it wouldn't be worth a lot of money. So if your car is of the age that it's not worth a lot of money. It's worth more to you. And a lot of times when we spend several $1,000s on one of our customers' cars, we explain to the customer that what you're doing, in essence, is buying your own car back. Because you know the car, you know it's been a good car. It may not look 100% great, but you know it's been a good car. So if you have to put a transmission in the car, and the transmission is $3,000 or $4,000, and the car's only worth $3,000 or $4,000, what do? Well, you know, you make, it's a hard decision. I understand that, but there's a way that you can get around that by understanding that when you spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a car, it's only worth $3,000 or $4,000. You're buying your own car back. Hey, stick around. Mike Schlupp. Shoop. I'm going to ask him how to pronounce his name. What is it? Shoop? Scoop? Bobbio. I don't know. When I come back, we'll find out. Just stay tuned. When it comes to your car battery, you expect it to work. Turn the key and go. Thanks to PowerFrame Grid technology, you can trust your battery to be there start after start. Batteries with PowerFrame Grid technology are tested to provide superior cranking power with up to 70% better electrical flow than other grid designs. Look for PowerFrame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with PowerFrame Grid technology, or to learn more, go to powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Very interesting program today. If you've got an older car that you're not trying to, you're sort of on the fence as whether or not to fix that car or get rid of it, I think you're going to like what you're going to hear here. On the hotline with me now is Mike Schlupp, Managing Director of K-Seal International. K-Seal is the industry's premier coolant system stop leak, and Mike's been with K-Seal for some 15 years, actually since it was first launched in the United Kingdom, and he's been closely involved with developing the U.S. market. Mike's also a car enthusiast and has been talking about cooling system problems for many years. In addition, he's been overseeing K-Seal's research and development programs over the past 6 years at Brighton University Engineering Division.
It's my pleasure to welcome Mike Schlupp to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Mike, glad to have you in the house.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Bobby.
Let's get right into, first, different types of coolant leaks. Give us some information there.
Okay, fundamentally, it's when you're losing liquid out of the cooling system, but there are different places that can go from. The most common leak is going to be the radiator, and you get that classic puddle underneath the car there as you pull away, and then it's time to worry. But there are also leaks from the engine block. That could be a crack in the block. It could even be porosity in the block, a crack in the cylinder head. You've got the heater core leaking, water pump, particularly the casing on that, a variety of things. And sometimes the problem is you can't actually see where the leak is. You just know you have a leak. But all of these problems come together, and where it's going to hit you is in your wallet, usually.
Well, no doubt about that. And so with regard to K-Seal, given that there are so many coolants on the market today, I mean, Mike, there's yellow and there's red and there's green, and although color, as I understand, really doesn't matter. But how about the compatibility? Is there an issue with K-Seal adding to the cooling system regarding the color of the coolant?
No, that's a very good question, Bobby, and certainly there has been in the past with different chemicals that have been used for stop leaks. In particular, products with sodium silicate, you do have to be careful there. That reacts with the ethyl glycol, the common chemical in many coolants. Now, K-Seal is, instead of using a liquid sodium silicate, it uses a ceramic microfiber. That means it's compatible and safe to use with all types of coolant or sometimes called antifreeze formulas. It really is a pour-and-go solution. Just no need to worry about what may or may not already be in the system. It's a favorite as a result of emergency roadside recovery operations. They know they can use it without having to check what's in the system.
So, Mike, let's shift gears. Can the same product be used in the radiator leak that's also used in the cooling system leak, the block, the head, the heater core?
Well, yes, indeed. That was something very important when we developed K-Seal. There are a number of different products on the market, one for radiators, one for blocks, maybe something different for head gaskets and so on. So with K-Seal, we made sure that it was a multi-purpose coolant leak repair. So one product, one formula, suitable for all types of leaks, whether it's one in the radiator or whether it's in the block or the head gasket or the heater core, all hard parts of the system. And the important thing, or the important reason for that, I should say, is that then the customer doesn't have to worry about which product, have I got the right formula for this problem. It's one product to seal all leaks in the cooling system.
We're talking with Mike Schlupp, who is the managing director for K-Seal. So, Mike, that then begs another question: how to apply? I mean, normally we're talking you just pour the K-Seal into the radiator, but as you know, we have, with today's cars, we have the radiator reservoir that in some cases is part of the cooling system, and it's pressurized. And then in other cars, you have just the jug or the reservoir itself that is not pressurized. So give us a 30,000-foot view of how you apply a K-Seal to best stop the coolant leak.
Okay, well, the important thing is to get K-Seal into the cooling system itself. You're absolutely right. There are reservoirs and different entry points into the cooling system. And sometimes when you add K-Seal to that reservoir, it can just get stuck there, trapped, particularly if you're getting over-pressurizing in the cooling system, pushing the coolant back out. So the trick there is to get around the reservoir, bypass that. There are various ways. You can drain a bit of the coolant, mix that with K-Seal, add that back into the system. You can even take the top hose off the radiator, add the K-Seal through there. If in doubt, get some advice on this, but it's pretty straightforward. But once the product, the K-Seal, is inside the cooling system, it can actually flow around and reach the leak. So those are little tips for pressurizing systems, but generally it is very much just like topping up the coolant. Just shake out the product, pour it in, and away you go.
Great explanation. Another question that I have in my mind, is K-Seal a permanent? I mean, how long should someone expect for this seal to stop the internal leak, or is it a permanent seal?
Yes. K-Seal is designed with its ceramic fiber technology to not just make an emergency get-you-home repair, as in the sort of the style of the old-school rad stop leaks. The fibers will mesh together and actually cure within the crack or the hole in the wherever that may be in the cooling system to make a very strong repair. That repair will then last for many years, many more miles, and certainly until such time as you're ready to move on to the next vehicle, even if you have to drain the system down and add new coolant, then that's very important that the repair remains in place.
And after the K-Seal is added to the cooling system, is it normal procedure to drive the automobile or to let it idle? How best to ensure that we get the best seal proper, and allow the K-Seal product to do its best job?
Yes, indeed. When using K-Seal, just start with the engine at idle. Now, if the engine is already warm, that's fine. You can add K-Seal, but you've got to be careful there that the system may be under pressure.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter with a warm or a cold engine. Shake the K-Seal up, pour it in, and then just let the engine idle, allowing the K-Seal to flow around the cooling system. If you decide to go for a drive, don't go towing a big trailer up a hill and put the engine under a big load. That's just going to make it more difficult. The best thing is just to leave it idling. K-Seal will flow around, find the low pressure point, make a repair, and then you'll see immediately as the coolant levels stabilize that you've made a repair.
So in essence then, K-Seal, when it flows throughout the system and sees an orifice, or which is the you mentioned low pressure point, it will squeeze into that orifice and solidify and seal that crack.
That's exactly right. A good way to describe it is if you, let's say, cut yourself, and as you bleed, immediately the body starts adding those repair particles that exist. They're just waiting there, ready to make a repair, and they will mesh together and stop the bleeding. And that's basically what K-Seal does. It's having that inside the system. It will find that low pressure point, be naturally drawn to it, and patch that up with those clever little fibers, and job done. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Simply shake it up, pour it in, and let it do its work.
I got it. I want to shift gears one more time. I understand that you've overseen for several years at Brighton University Engineering Division the R&D for K-Seal. Is there some standard? Is there some guideline that manufacturers of stop leaks fall under or go by?
Yes, there is. There's an ASTM standard called D3147. You can look it up on the internet, and that is the standard for coolant stop leak repair products. In a nutshell, that determines the size of the hole or the crack that a product must fix, and also the size of an aperture or passageway that a product should be able to flow through freely without causing any clogging. That's very important. So it's what it must fix and what it shouldn't block up.
Wow.
That's the standard with a number of other tests around it, and there's a whole test equipment that is designed to do this. So we gave that standard to Brighton University's Engineering Division. They built the test equipment and they tested the product. And as we were expecting, it passed the standard. So K-Seal will seal holes up to 0.6 of a millimeter, and it will flow through a mesh of 0.85 of a millimeter. That means that the product will seal when it's meant to, and it won't clog even the narrowest passageways within a cooling system. There are other products out there that meet this standard, but I'm proud to say that K-Seal is the only product that's been independently university tested to actually comply with the ASTM standard.
And one final question, is K-Seal the same product and used for like large industrial vehicles and RVs and in addition to passenger cars, tractor trailers and diesel engines?
Absolutely, yeah. K-Seal is suitable for any water-cooled engine, so it successfully sealed leaks on small motorcycle engines or little outboard engines on boats. Obviously, cars, by far the most common engine out there on the roads. and a standard bottle of K-Seal will seal a leak in a cooling system of a car, an SUV, or a light truck. There is a heavy-duty version for large trucks, tractors, and so on. And in fact, we've even sealed leaks on diesel locomotives and also the engine on a cruise ship, which was we were pretty pleased with that.
I imagine so. That's very interesting, because when you're out on a cruise ship, you can't pull over to the side of the road and repair a leak. That's for sure.
It's not the easiest job, no.
Mike Schlupp, who is the managing director for K-Seal. Mike, and also a very interesting fellow you are, and I appreciate your time. And I just have to say that with all of the cars that come through our Car Clinic service shop, and all the cars that are worth a lot to the owner but not worth that much on the market, when you're facing a head gasket repair and spending a couple $1,000s versus adding a stop leak product, then there's nothing to do but, of course, to try the K-Seal. It's worked for us, and I'm sure it worked for a lot of our Car Clinic listeners and viewers. Mike, I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and I hope that one day when you're in the States, you'll come and join us and answer questions from our callers here on Car Clinic. Again, thank you so much for joining us today on Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you very much, Bobby. It's been a pleasure.
That's really an interesting fellow, and I love the British accent. And he for 6 years at Brighton University has headed that R&D for the stop leak. And as I mentioned in the segment prior to having Mike on the air, if you've got a car that is not worth fixing, what is it worth? Now, in other words, what a threshold is there? And there is a challenge with knowing what that threshold is. And that's where you need a good shop. And so for those of you who are tuned in, you establish a good rapport with your local service provider and your local service shop. Your local mechanic, they call them, but it's not mechanic any longer, because the mechanics of vehicles has been elevated to that of a technician now, because it's so technical in nature. It truly is. And I mentioned this recently, actually on our local ABC television affiliate. They were talking about hacking a car, and an F-22. You notice my segue from K-Seal into hacking of cars, but it's just the way my mind works, because cars are so sophisticated these days, and yet they're still mechanical devices. So that you'll better understand, you need to put it on yourself and your service provider to help you determine what is the best course of action when you have a repair that exceeds the value of the stated car. And what does that mean? Well, it means a car that's got a couple of 100,000 miles on it, and it's old, and it's paid for, and it's at every turn you put a little money here and the money there, and it seems to be staying in your repair shop a lot more than in garage than in your garage. Well, then you really need to concentrate and think about, well, maybe it's time to pass on this car and let it go. And that's where you need professional advice, and you need to get that from your service provider. And if you don't have a rapport and you don't have one you trust, then you need, I don't know, other than myself, I would help you, but I'm not there in your own hometown, so I can't give you that hands-on advice because I don't see your car. So just know that. Getting back to the technological part of a car, an F-22 fighter plane has 2 million lines of code in the computer that operates that airplane. A 757 has about 14 million lines of code in that in its software. Today's luxury car, high-end, has 100 million lines of code, and pretty soon will be 200 million lines of code. So that gives you, and of course that's not a linear. There's a little, it's not a play on words, but the lines of code are somewhat different. But the bottom line is there's a lot going on in your new car these days, and there's a lot going on. In fact, I've got a surprise for some of you. If you're interested in with Christmas here and the spirit here, it's perfect for Christmas. A $25 gift card that I'm going to be giving away from our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. So I think it's really interesting. We've got another hour coming up, so stick around with me. Call in 888-CAR-CLINIC, and I'll put your name in the hat. A simple car question will do the job for the $25 gift card giveaway in the next hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Stay tuned, folks.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can put strains on your vehicle. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Your vehicle's tires keep you rolling down the proverbial highway. This time of year, it's smart to check tread depth before driving on icy roads, and you may want to consider special winter tires. Check tire pressure weekly during the winter, as every 10-degree drop in temperature causes a 1-pound decrease in tire pressure. Check your exhaust system for carbon monoxide leaks, as windows are more likely to be closed during this time of year. It's also a great idea to keep your gas tank half full, as this will help avoid moisture buildup in the gas lines, which could ultimately freeze this time of year. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order your free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Stick around and ride along with me, and let's talk cars. I'll answer your car questions. Miss Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's also a toll-free number, 888-227-2546. And also, you'll want to stick around because a gift card is on my desk to be given away from O'Reilly Auto Parts. And it's just that perfect time of season, right, the holiday season. So I'm sure that it'd make a great, great Christmas gift for some of you out there, one of you lucky folks. All you need to do is just give us a call, and we'll put your name in the hat. And go easy on Hannah. She's only been here, like 2 months now, or so. Is that right, Fabio? A couple of months? Yeah, that sounds right. So the phones are loading up, and that's great. 888-227-2546. Oh, by the way, you sign up to be an O Rewards member today, and you earn a point for every dollar you spend, and you receive your rewards twice as fast and on the go when you provide your email address. O Rewards members get $5 back for every 150 points that earned. It's fast, easy, and it's free. Yeah, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. See store or orewards.com for all the details. Stay tuned. Call 888 Car Clinic, and I'll be here to answer your car questions. Like us, you'll love us. I have another vehicle repair to spotlight. A 99 Jeep Cherokee came into the shop recently with a P0303 misfire fault on cylinder number 3. The misfire was erratic, which made diagnosing the problem more difficult. Other shops had thrown parts at it, installing new plug wires, plugs, fuel injector, and some technical service bulletin updates. Nothing worked. We used a borescope, a type of inside-the-engine camera, to inspect the number 3 cylinder, and sure enough saw heavy carbon deposits around the exhaust valve. No traditional cleaner will work on a carbonized exhaust valve. Enter Berryman Products B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. We removed the plug, brought the piston around so the exhaust valve was just opening, and filled the cylinder with Berryman B12 Chem Tool Fuel System Cleaner. After an overnight soak, we siphoned out the chemical and replaced the plug. Now, several weeks since the repair, and no reported problems, thanks to Berryman. Find more automotive repair and maintenance solutions at berrymanproducts.com.
Lung cancer kills more people than breast, colon, and prostate cancers combined. And 80% of those diagnosed with lung cancer never smoked or quit decades ago. If you or someone you know has lung cancer, the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation can help. Text the word LUNGS to 50555 to help lung cancer patients and to fund the research needed to find a cure for the world's deadliest cancer. Go to lungcancerfoundation.org for more information.
Diablo Sport tuning systems give you the ability to easily boost your vehicle's power without even popping the hood. But don't take my word for it. PSCA racer Alex Rogio has been using Diablo Sport products on her Dodge Magnum since the beginning of her racing career. According to Alex, Diablo Sport tuners have been an essential part of her success. There really isn't a better line of products that offer quick tuning and diagnostics. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. And while you're there, check out the new Intune i3 Performance Programmer. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic is the number. Miss Hannah will take your calls at 888-227-2546. Put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air, as I will do Robert right now. Robert, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You're first caller, you're first in, so you're first up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I took your advice a couple of years ago. My truck was 13 years old at the time, so I got it painted, and I put a new interior in it and new tires. And I plan to drive it another 15 years.
you know, people, and Robert, that is not atypical. That is typical, because when you go to find a used truck, and recently I had a gentleman call me about a diesel and looking for a diesel truck, and ultimately it was so expensive to find, in the first place, if a used diesel truck, I know yours not a diesel, but on a diesel truck, they usually got 150 to 200,000 miles, and they're very expensive to repair. So if you've got one, they're also very expensive to replace. So that's kind of a catch-22, and to find a used truck, and I think used trucks, above all, bring a higher premium than any other used vehicle, at least from what I've seen. Luckily for me, I don't have any love for trucks. I don't care to drive trucks, but if I did, it would be one of those, overgrown. Well, it wouldn't be an overgrown truck, and it would not be a diesel, I can tell you that. How can I help you today?
Well, I got a little story. I was driving across the desert in Arizona, just outside of Yuma. I had a Volkswagen Rabbit, and it had a leak in the radiator.
Okay.
And the guy said, "Well, we'll have to send it out. It'll take 3 or 4 days." I said, "I got to be in California, by tomorrow." And he said, "Wait a minute." So he goes into the building and comes back out with a jar of red pepper, and he poured it in my radiator, and added some water to it, put the cap back on it.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
You
I
made
drove
it.
it for another year and a half, and I never had the radiator fixed. So red pepper works in an emergency almost as good.
Well, to that end, it's all about, of course, that's not a permanent fix, but to that end, for years I cooked during holidays and other special occasions whole pigs, and I had an above ground pit that I made out of 20 concrete blocks. And this was a friend of mine, Gilbert Nelson, who he's the only successful plumber I've ever met in my life. He's retired now, sold his business. The last year he was in business, he did $20 million. Fact, yeah. Anyway, and so he's a very wealthy individual, but he earned every dollar. The bottom line, he made a pit grill out of stainless steel, half-inch stainless steel rod. And everything he did was just overboard. He was a hunter, and I built him an engine for his hunting truck. And if he couldn't shoot the deer, he'd run it down with his truck. I mean, he's the only guy I've ever seen that he broke a transmission in half going through the woods. And so it was unbelievable. I said all that to say this. We used to cook the pig, and it would take about 8 hours, well, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3, you do the math, and you flip the pig 180 degrees, like 1,500 times. And it was a big deal. And it was fun to watch because a lot of people have never seen anybody cook a whole pig above ground. Usually you bury it underneath, and so it's not a community item or a party thing. So I would spray vinegar and water. That was my secret sauce, and black pepper. The problem was that in my spray bottle, the black pepper would stop up the holes in the spray bottle, and it kept, and I never could figure out how to stop that. So when you mentioned that red pepper, I said that's exactly the issue that I had. In a regular spray bottle, the black pepper would clog the holes going through. The problem was with that is, like last hour, we had a gentleman on here from the UK, from K-Seal, and he talked about the ASTM standard, where you could stop up a hole that was 0.6 millimeter, but it had to pass through a hole that was 0.85. Of course, red pepper wouldn't do that, but in your case, you got away with it, so good for you.
Well, also, too, cayenne pepper cauterizes the wound. If you ever cut yourself and it doesn't sting, just put it on your cut. It'll surround the wound and cauterize it and stop the bleeding.
Well, that is interesting.
I keep some in my truck. Well, that's because my mother was a Cherokee, and she came from the Eastern tribe, and I learned a lot of weird stuff when I was growing up.
Well, yeah, but it worked. It worked.
Yeah,
okay.
It worked.
Let's talk about your radiator, or was that it?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
You're good. I enjoyed listening to you, and I heard Michael, the British guy from K-Seal.
Yeah, he is really, really sharp, and he knows what he's doing. And most stop leaks, they make all kinds of not K-Seal, but other companies make a lot of stop leak products. Transmission and what have you. The bottom line is how much of that stuff is good, and how much of that stuff is too much. And with transmission stop leak, you want to soften the seals, but you can put a lot of things in there that softens rubber, and it'll get so soft that the pistons will stick once they apply. And so whenever you're looking for any aftermarket product and a solution that is an inexpensive solution, like a head gasket issue, then you need to make sure that you use a product that works, and with K-Seal that works. But I'm glad that you heard heard us talking to Mike. Mike Schlupp was his name. I didn't make fun of his name, but I didn't know how to pronounce it at first until I asked him, and we did that off the air so I could find out exactly how to pronounce it. Mike Schlupp, and he's from the UK. I'm not sure I'm saying it now correctly now. Hey, Robert, thank you for calling. We'll put your name in the hat for the O'Reilly gift card that I'll be giving away.
Thanks a lot. And I listen to you, try to every Saturday.
Thank you. I love it. Appreciate you. Let's go to Kansas and talk to Jim. And folks, now's a good time. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. You don't have to have a car question. Maybe you got a car story, or maybe there's a local service provider in your hometown that really did you a good service, and maybe now's a good time to thank them on the air, on national air. Jim from Kansas, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. How can I help you today?
Hello. I got a 95 Chevy 2500.
Okay.
With throttle body, of course.
Right.
And just recently, anytime I go to pull a hill or any grades, it automatically just dies. It'll start right back up. It just keeps doing it all the time now. After it does it, after you pull a grade or anything, and that's what it does.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I want to ask you one question, and if you could know the answer, can you say, maybe you haven't tried this, but can you say whether or not this happens when the fuel tank is low on fuel, and if so, has it also happened when the tank was filled with fuel?
Yes, right now it's got a half a tank, and it happens when it's full of fuel too.
Okay. And of course, the reason for that, I was thinking that you had a fuel delivery problem because of the gravitational pull, and maybe the fuel pump pickup screen had an issue, what have you. I don't think that's a problem because the fuel, when it's full, doesn't know whether you're going uphill or downhill. I mean, so let's move away from that issue. And I'm stalling for time now.
Okay.
Well,
just replaced the idle control sensor.
That's an idler, the old idle control. You mean the idle air?
Yeah, I just replaced that sensor.
So you did that for what reason?
Well, I would just kind of figured I'd start with the sensors. That'd be the easiest.
Well, okay. All right. Now, let me give you one. Crankshaft position sensor. That's more likely to be defective than any idler sensor. And idle doesn't matter when you're stepping on the accelerator because you're not in that arena. You're not in that.
Okay.
You understand what I'm going? In other words.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down now.
Okay, good. All right. I'm good. I'm glad. Okay, so all right. Crankshaft position sensor definitely would cause a problem. Of course, any wire loom, corrosion, and you got a 95 model automobile, so you fit that category. You know, Jim, while you're replacing the crankshaft position sensor, and I would, just for grins, because that's, I would unplug carefully so you don't destroy the plugs. You know, those little plugs look like they should just come right apart, but sometimes you have to depress the trigger or peel back a little tongue that locks them in place.
Yeah.
Be careful. And I say be careful because you don't want to tear up the end of a wiring harness by pulling the end of the harness apart. But if you do, if you do, you can buy those from the aftermarket parts companies. You can buy the ends of wire harnesses for the most part. We do that in our service shop, but we also find that the very one that we need sometimes is not offered. But the bottom line, what I'm going to say is replace the sensor, and while you're there, unplug other sensors and look inside to see if they're corroded, and if not, spray a little white lube. I like white lube, and it's safe to use.
Oh, yeah.
And just push it together and let the white lube squeeze out. And I'll tell you, I did that. I bought a boat trailer and did that for all the trailer lights, and it lasted forever. Hey, Jim, that'll work for you. Try it. Thanks for your call. Got a hard break coming up, then Dominant from Nevada, and then from Washington, Jim, and your call at 888 Car Clinic. Folks, recently we had a for-sale 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem?
The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com. Car repairs can get expensive, and most folks don't have spare money laying around for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. K-Seal is the #1 multi-purpose coolant leak repair in the world. And we've had more than 225,000 cars and small trucks roll through our car clinic doors over the past 47 years, and many times the cost of repair forces the car's owner to make the decision whether that car is worth fixing or not. For example, an older vehicle that uses a lot of coolant. Let's say the test results show an internal coolant leak, head gaskets likely. So with this older vehicle, do you fix the car or move on? A repair like that can cost several $1,000s, so this is the perfect time to add K-Seal. K-Seal is the #1 multi-purpose coolant leak repair in the world. You can find K-Seal at auto parts stores everywhere, and for all the details, go to kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to the house, folks. Glad you joined me today. 888-227-2546. You call with a car question or a story, it's fine with me, and we'll put your name in the hat for the $25 gift card, courtesy of and compliments O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's go to Washington and talk with Jim. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house today.
Thank you, Bobby. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Say, my situation is I have a 2002 Chevy Astro van, and occasionally it will get stuck in park. And the way that I get it out of getting stuck is I push on the front, and I have a chock, and I just, as it rocks, I kick the chock into the wheel, and then get in, and it will release. Now, what I've done, I've had the transmission checked and serviced, and the transmission people said, no, it's not causing, the transmission's perfect. I had a new sensor put in the brake sensor that releases that.
Right.
And that didn't help. And so I'm thinking it might be in the steering column link. I don't know. I don't know what to do next.
Well, let me ask you. You said a sensor. The brake switch. Let me understand. When your car, you have to turn the key on and depress the brake in order to get it out of park.
Right.
You're telling me that the gear shift lever that's on the steering column will not come out of park all the time.
Right.
And that on occasion you actually get out and push back and forth on the car to rock it so that the parking pawl has a fore and aft movement, and then you get back in the car, and that has worked or it has not?
Yeah, it has worked. And what I have to do is I have a wheel chock.
Right.
And so as I rock it, if I can get some rocking motion, I kick that with my foot on the up, basically taking the pressure off.
Right.
And then it'll come out sometimes.
Sometimes,
it takes a little work, but it's very sporadic. It'll go weeks without happening, and then it'll happen 2 or 3 times in a row.
Okay, here's what I want you to do, and folks, this applies to you. This is one of those things about your car that you should learn, so that if you ever have a problem with it, you'll know whether or not that device is working. And I'm specifically talking about the lockout pin, which there's a solenoid that locks that like a deadbolt. And Jim, it's just like a deadbolt, but in your house. So let's say that you went into the house and you locked it and you turned the deadbolt, and then someone knocked on the door and you were going to open the door. I mean, it was someone you knew, but they're pulling on the door. Well, if they're pulling on the door, you couldn't undo the deadbolt because there'd be pressure against that pin. You see where I'm going? Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. So what I want you to do is, on a normal day when it's not having a problem, I want you to, with the key on, touch the brake pedal and put your hand on the steering, on a shift rod, and you'll feel a little. That's what I'm doing on the microphone. You'll feel a little tick, tick, tick every time you touch the brake pedal and let off, because that's that solenoid that's retracting. Because it's just it's like a doorbell. It's a little it's like a starter relay that pulls. A starter relay is a serious lockout solenoid, so to speak, because it handles a heavy-duty product and part. So you'll want to know, and the reason you want to learn this is the very day that a car won't come out of park, touch that brake pedal to see if you feel that solenoid tick, tick, tick. And if you feel that same solenoid, you'll know that part is working because you can feel it physically moving. Then you can know that it's not in the shift lever, but it must be in the linkage and or in the transmission itself. Now, having said that, I have to believe that you're going to find that it's in that solenoid itself, unless you've replaced the lockout solenoid. But I don't know that you've replaced that solenoid.
Yes, sir, I have.
You have?
Yeah, I've replaced that.
Okay. Well, then, and let me ask a question. After replacing that shift lever solenoid, are the symptoms identical to what they were prior, or did it make any difference at all?
No, I would say they're identical.
Okay. Then I'm going to say that it's the shift rod in the transmission, and it could be that the valve body is worn, and that linkage inside the transmission. So you said you had the transmission serviced. I'm not sure that when they service the transmission they would pull the pan and inspect that rod unless you ask them to.
Well, that was the reason I had the transmission serviced, and I asked them to check and make sure that it's not in the transmission, and they assured me that it wasn't in the transmission.
Well, my only challenge with that is that if the transmission was behaving itself at the time, then they would assure you that the transmission is okay, but they could only speak to that particular time, and you've already said that it's erratic in nature. Now, one last question. When this happens, it's not because you have the car up a hill and the parking is under pressure, right?
Right. It doesn't seem to affect it.
Right.
Whether it's on the hill or flat.
Right. And the fact that you have affected it and have made it better or got it to go away by rocking the car tells me that it is mechanically inside the transmission. So I think you need to get a second opinion. Maybe go to AllData. That's a company that we use for information. AllData.com. And see if there's a bulletin on shift linkage for hard to get out of park, and that may help. And one question. Well, that's all I have. Any other questions?
No, I don't have any other questions. I really like this vehicle, and it's in pristine shape. So I don't want to replace it. But I can't have my wife drive it when this happens. This happens every so often.
I agree. I agree. Well, I'll do some research on my own, and then perhaps in another show, maybe next week, let's talk about it. You got an 02 Chevrolet van. We'll make a note of it. Jonathan will make a note of it, and I'll do some research, and then we'll discuss it again at a later show. How about that?
Okay, that'd be great, Bobby. I'll call you back.
Okay, Jim. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Well, that's pretty cool. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Gas prices up in every region of the United States since this time last year. Down in price since this time last week. I mean, and Fabio, I think last week, if I remember correctly, because I have my reports here, that except for one region, the price was down across the nation last week, but also up from this time last year. The average price is $2.45. I think it was $2.50 last week, as memory serves me. But no, it said it was down. So there you go. I don't know what causes gas prices to shift so rapidly, but it's very interesting to me. The bottom line, average price $2.45. Highest price, California, or actually the West Coast, $2.96. Let's go to Texas and take a call from Lawrence in Texas. Lawrence, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
All right, thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I've got a problem. I've got a 17 Nissan Versa sedan.
Okay.
And I heard on your program a few weeks ago about they had two trans, they had an automatic and a CVT.
Right.
And this one, I don't know whether it's automatic or CVT, but it makes makes a funny noise sometimes, and sometimes it go like it's slipping or like it's trying to catch up. And I was wondering if that's really a problem or that's just the way that they are.
That's just the way. That's the nature of the beast. And I will tell you, I couldn't describe it, Lawrence, any better. It's trying to catch up and or making a noise. My first experience happened to be with a Chrysler Cavalier. And I drove that vehicle, and it was my first experience with a CVT, and it was like a lot of engine noise and no go, except when you back off the throttle, and it felt like something kicked into gear. And that is the nature of a CVT. If only I could, and I really sanctioned a CVT, but I used to love that transmission years and years ago until I actually drove one. The idea is phenomenal, and here's the idea, and here's what it's designed to do. A CVT is designed to keep the engine in its sweet spot and give you infinite gear ratios because there are no gears. It's a chain, and one pulley gets wider, and while the driven pulley gets narrower, and so the pulley is infinitely adjustable because whenever and the distance stays the same between the chain. And it's not a pull chain, it's a push chain with links. It's really unique in the way it's made. I'm not a big fan of CVT transmissions. They are better today than they were, but there was a time when Nissan had serious issues with CVT transmissions to the point that they were actually replacing the transmissions in new cars that came off the truck delivered to the dealer. And I know because our technician had actually replaced 12 of those in 1 week with a brand new car. So they went through and of course that's what manufacturers make new products and they design things, and if they have a problem, they redesign them and they try to do a better job next time. I mean, that's evolution. And so you don't have a problem with your Nissan CVT, but that is the nature of the beast. Any other questions?
Okay, now that's all I wanted to know because sometimes I can let it warm up, and in the book it says it does take but about 30 seconds, but then after it's warmed up, sometimes it's still like when it's going to take off, it didn't want to, it catches up or something like that. So I just wanted to know if it was with the transmission, what was going on with it.
Well, you don't have a problem. I appreciate your call, but Lawrence, I will forewarn you of this. The changing of the transmission fluid in the CVT calls for a specific fluid, and it's more often than a standard automatic transmission. I don't mean a standard, but a regular automatic transmission. So I would just make sure and inform you that you need to check your owner's manual for the specific scheduled maintenance to make sure that you get that fluid changed, because it's more often, because you're going to have neighbors that say, oh, I bought a Ford and they told me I can go 150,000 miles on the fluid, which I of course they don't guarantee the transmission, but 60,000, so that sort of tells you that my feelings there. The bottom line, I change the fluids, all the fluids in my car, every 35,000 miles, and I don't have major breakdowns, nor do my customers. Thanks, Lawrence, for your call from Texas. And folks, we'll take your calls when I come back after the break at 888-227-2546. Folks, October is Fall Car Care Month, and there's no better time to perform a thorough check of vehicle maintenance items. Start with your heater and defroster to make sure they're working properly. Consider winter wiper blades and use a cold weather washer fluid. There is a difference. Keeping your gas tank at least half full during cold weather may also prevent moisture buildup in gas lines that could ultimately freeze. Dirty or low oil can cause problems in the winter, so be diligent about recommended oil change intervals. Consider a winter weight oil if you live in a cold climate. Winter is a great time to also check your fuel, air, and transmission filter maintenance history. Daylight savings means it's a good time to check all exterior and interior lights and make sure the headlights are properly aimed and the lenses are clear. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. While you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you're not on the phone calling, you should be at 888-227-2546. Going to be giving away a $25 gift card from O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's a great Christmas gift. So Christmas right around the corner, literally. And so when you have the opportunity, like in the next 30 seconds, 888-227-2546. And folks, you can sign up to be an O Rewards member today, and you can earn a point for every dollar you spend. You receive your rewards twice as fast and on the go when you provide your email address. It's really easy. The O Rewards members get $5 back for every 150 points spent. It's fast, it's easy, and it's free only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, better parts every day. I'm Bobby Likis, 888-227-2546. Here's what I want to share with you, and I couldn't wait to tell you. 2,800 new EV charging stations could be running in 2019. 2,800. Compliments you never guess. Well, I won't make you guess. Volkswagen. That's right. This is really pretty cool. So those gas stations that we see dotting our roads may be replaced by electric vehicle charging stations sooner than we think. This week, VW AG's Electrify America unit announced plans to install 2,800 EV charging stations. Why are they doing this? Well, you remember they had some issues with emissions, right? So this is part of the restitution, but they're going to be spending a lot of cash to make this happen. It's an ambitious project, so they've signed on to spend $800 million in California alone and $2 billion across the nation on clean car infrastructure. Granted, this wasn't an entirely voluntary decision, but doesn't matter, because if you're thinking about buying an electric vehicle, sometimes maybe 2018, 2019 might be a good time. And for you, folks that don't think that EVs are going to be an intricate and part of our transportation, there are so many. I mean, I have 5 different articles in front of me that I won't bore you with, except to say that there are a lot of EVs that are coming down the pike, not only from Tesla. Elon Musk, certainly, you got to give him credit for all that he's done in that arena, making more battery plants as well, because who's going to provide? You see where the world is going in transportation? Think about it. We're here to enjoy the evolution. And that evolution is the replacement of ICEs, the internal combustion engine, as we know it. And for me to say that hurts, because I love the sound of thunder. But I can tell you, EVs are faster, they're more efficient, and they're cleaner. Even given the energy it takes to generate power, and that's another subject. We would need to get one of those official, maybe Elon Musk. That would be neat to have him on the air. Let's go to New Mexico and take a call from Luther. Luther, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to you from sunny New Mexico.
Glad to have you on the air.
I have a 1997 Chevrolet Lumina LS.
Okay.
That 3.1 motor, and it seems like when the transmission and/or the weather is warm, I have a shift problem. I think it's between second and third gear. It just acts like it don't know. It will shift, but it just misses it, like it's hunting for a place to shift. And I've changed the filter and the fluid.
Right.
And so I'm kind of at a loss what to do next.
Well, you said it's after it warms up, and do you get a speed up? Does it buzz up, or does it just go a longer time? And now buzz up would go, and then it would finally go into gear. So does the engine race up between the shift, or does it lag shifting?
It lags shifting is what it's doing. Yeah.
Okay. Luther, that could be something so simple as a throttle position switch, because the transmission shift module, which is the controller that controls the printed circuit board inside the transmission. I mean, there's wires going in there. It could even be that the module itself inside the transmission. I've had those, many of those, to go bad. But it also could be what's called driver's demand. So if you're going 5 or 6, 8 miles an hour in house hunting, you're looking for one address, walking speed, the transmission would shift from first to second gear, so let's say 10 miles an hour. But if you're accelerating onto the interstate, that same shift point would be 20 miles an hour. Well, how does the transmission know when you're house hunting or know when you're loading the accelerator? And it does by the computer inputs, or driver demand it's called, and that input is from a throttle position sensor. So here's what I would recommend. I'd recommend you go to your local service shop, and if you have a friend that's a technician, ask him or her to ride along with you and plug their unit into the data port, because you got a 97 model automobile, and watch the input from the throttle position switch so that it changes as you accelerate and deaccelerate, because if you've got a throttle position switch that is causing, that is lazy or has an open circuit in it, the computer won't know when to shift, and so it just kind of hangs out. And that's what you're doing. You're hanging out in second gear. So that's very much so. So that's what I would do. I would what it's called officially a sweep test of the throttle position switch. That's the first thing that I would check, because number one, it sounds a whole lot better than to tell you need a transmission.
Right.
This time,
I got a good car. The car works good.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. So that's what I would do.
That guy before, he said he put a little money in his pickup truck, drive another 15 years. I don't care about the year model. I just want it to work.
I got you. Hey, thanks for your call. I'll put your name in the hat for the O'Reilly Auto Parts, as well as Don in Nebraska. And I'm going to get to him next. And great to have you on the air, Luther. Stay tuned.
Right, thank you. We listen to you every week we can. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you. Let's go to Nebraska from New Mexico. Take a call from Don. Don, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, I got a question. I think I heard you say one time you could get the same mileage out of E85 as you do out of regular gas.
No,
I
said if I made a statement to that effect, it would be miles per dollar versus miles per gallon.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I always dropped like 2 miles, and I wondered if you put one of those power chip things in, if that would correct that problem.
Well, as a rule, the power chip, well, that's a two-sided answer, and I'll tell you why. The Super Chip and Diablo Sports, the Intune i2 tuner, and now the Intune i3 tuner from Diablo Sports, is a fantastic product that increases power, increases miles per gallon. It has been my experience, and that's all I can speak of, that most people don't see an increase in miles per gallon because their right foot enjoys that power. And when you're driving to enjoy the power, you're not driving conservatively. So that is, they're mutually exclusive, and there are darn few things that are mutually exclusive, but in this case they are. You can't drive to feel the power and consider that conservative driving. So, having said that, it is the possibility that you could increase MPG with a tuner program is true after you get through the newfound power mode and your right foot and your brain says, okay, I'm going to quit teasing my pedal and I'm going to drive it like I did before I got the chip in or before I put the tuner program in. You understand where I'm going here?
Yeah.
Because in the real world, which means, you buy a product, you expect something from the product. In the real world, you have a lot of input as to how that product works. And in this case, with a tuner, one of those, a Super Chip, advertised recently 116 horsepower increase. So if you've got a 116 horsepower increase, who cares if it gets better gas mileage? Because the thrill of the ride far exceeds the 2 miles per gallon increase if you just get your foot out of the accelerator. But I couldn't do it. Anyway, hey, Don, thanks for your call. Let's take another call. And very interesting, very interesting. 888-227-2546. I'll tell you another thing. Chevrolet Tahoe becomes the first pursuit-rated police car with auto brake. The 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe Police Pursuit vehicle is the first pursuit-rated police vehicle to sport active and passive safety systems. And this is really interesting. Not that there is a standard for pursuit vehicles. There's not. But you know that you see Ford, Chrysler, and Chevrolet police cars. Well, and also, if you think about it, and if you've been to New Orleans or to the city, to Manhattan, you've seen little Smart for Twos that's a police car. That's certainly not a pursuit vehicle, unless you got a slow walker there, and you try to chase him with a little smart car. But it's interesting that the Chevrolet Tahoe police pursuit has sensors, and it's just, it has a emergency a package that's an enhanced driver assist package, autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warning, lane keep assist, power adjustable pedals, and then GM's proprietary haptic seat-based feedback system. I just thought you'd be interested in that from GM. Let's take a call from John in New York. John, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
If people think electric vehicles aren't here to stay, you know, a lot of innovations and stuff are tested on race cars and make their way to what we drive. But what do you think about the electric Formula One racing cars?
Well, I think that's I think it's too early. Personally, I'd like to see them, but for me, if I had my preferences, and this is just because I've been there and done that, not raced them, but been there and watched them. I love and you don't have these anymore, the 22,000 RPM Formula One motors that are screaming and shifting the gears. I mean, it's just amazing, and that's really what that's all about, downshifting. And it's always amazed me how you could take a car running 200 miles an hour and bring it to a halt at 35 miles per hour in almost a blink of an eye by downshifting. And of course, when you think about that, there's nothing that you could do with a transmission and an ICE, internal combustion engine, that you can't do with an electric power EV. And as far as that goes, you know, John, my real love was the noise and the guttural sounds from like my V8 car. So you can do that. You know, in fact, with the electrical, you could have speakers that would emulate and duplicate any noise that you want. So if that's really the end game, is to have that vibration in the seat of the pants and the guttural sound from the engine, minus as opposed to the quietness of an electric car, then you could have your cake and eat it too. But EV cars and Formula cars, I think they're here to stay.
Yeah, I agree, and I miss that screaming sound and the skill it takes of the driver to be shifting up and down, and that's why I like Formula One, the curvy tracks. They have to go, you know, screaming down the straightaway and then into a hairpin turn, and without losing control and all that. And yeah, I miss that. And I've heard you mention before, yeah, you could have software that would make an electric car, sound like it's internal combustion engine.
Exactly.
You know, screaming away.
Exactly.
And but for us old people, that just wouldn't do it, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no, we shall see. But it's very interesting. But you and I are in agreement with the facts of the EVs and their place. I mean, I mean, let's face it. Ford Motor Company changed their CEO to someone who has better ties to Silicon Valley. The Elon Musk of the world are proving every day by, they just increased their production this week to something like, I won't quote the number because I don't remember the number, but I can tell you that EV cars are here to stay, and that technological advancement of the EV and the simplicity of the EV and the lack of maintenance of the EV is all too attractive for Americans and for people globally not to buy them. Anyway, hey, John, thanks for your call, man.
Okay, one more thing.
Yes. Sure.
I believe Volvo's going all electric in
Volvo,
2020, I think.
Volvo, and in my opinion, Volvo needed to do something, because Volvo, for too many years, was behind the curve. Jonathan, come on in. We're going to draw a name. John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to draw a name now for the O'Reilly gift card giveaway, and I'll take the name out of the hat. And the winner is Lawrence from Texas. So, and Lawrence, now, Lawrence had the 2017 Nissan Versa sedan, and he was the gentleman that had the CVT transmission. So, Lawrence, here's what you can do with your $25 gift card from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Car Care Products. Go to the local O'Reilly Auto Parts store there in Texas. Talk with the O'Reilly Auto Parts counter person and say, I want the best product for the paint protection on my new car. So what a great gift that is, courtesy of O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, I'll see you the same time, same station next week, right here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
This vehicle maintenance spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When it comes to safety, there's nothing more important than your vehicle's brakes. If yours are spongy or squealing, or your vehicle won't stop without pumping the brakes, it's probably time for replacement. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to help you choose the brakes that are an exact fit for your vehicle. Brands you can trust, like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermoquiet, all at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Summer Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $25 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my